So call the meeting to order, 4:30. And let's start with roll call, your name and location. Brian, you want to start us?
Sure. Brian Milkey, Isabella County, Union Township, State of Michigan.
Sarjeet Chaudhary, Union Township, Isabella County.
Martin Fig, Union Township, Isabella County.
Jim Zalad, Isabella County, Union Township.
I've asked Robert Bacon to unmute. He hasn't done it so far.
Okay. Tom Keequam, Union Township, Isabella County. Go ahead,
And we now have Jeff Sweet with us as well.
Jeff Sweet, Union Township, Isabella County.
All right, Mr. Bacon has raised his hand. I've asked him to unmute. I'm not sure what's going on there. I can't unmute him. He has to actually take an action to essentially accept that.
Hey, Bob. Tom here. Try on your keypad, hit *6.
Hey, that worked.
There we go. I was hitting *9. Robert Bacon, Union Township, Isabella County.
All right.
Right there's
Okay.
why you're chairman, Tom.
Okay, moving on to item 3, approval of the agenda. How's that look to everybody tonight?
I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Fig, supported by Mr. Chowdhury to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say the same. And motion's approved, agenda is approved. Let's move on to agenda item number 4, approval of the meeting minutes. That's starting with the October 19th, 2021 special informational meeting. How do those look to everybody?
Great. I'll make a motion to accept into the record the special informational meeting on Tuesday, October 19th, 2021.
I support the motion.
I second it.
We have a motion by Milkey, supported by Mr. Fig, to approve the October 19th, 2021 special informational meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. And motion is approved. And meeting minutes are approved. Let's go on to the October 19th, 2021 regular meeting minutes. How do those look?
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as presented.
I support that motion.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Zalad, supported by Mr. Fig, to approve the October 19th regular meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. I don't have it.
Opposed, the same. And meeting minutes are approved. Moving on to agenda item number 5, presentations. We have anything there, Rodney?
Nothing today.
Agenda item number 6, public comment. Do we have anybody there?
We do not have any members of the public with us today.
Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 7, reports. With A, accounts payable for October.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Sherry.
I'll start out, I'll just go over the accounts payable for the East EDA. We had a payment to Consumers Energy for the street lights on Pickard for $805.50. We had a check issued to 21st Century Media, which is basically the Morning Sun. And this is for the for $554.30. That was for the notices that went in the paper for the East EDA Tax Increment Finance Plan update. And then we had a check issued to Be Green Lawn Services. That check was for $3,490. This was for 2 fertilizer applications, one in the summer and one in the fall on the out on the Pickard Street corridor. And then we have a check issued to Berens Hendricks Stutt Insurance for property and liability insurance renewal for the year beginning November 1st through October 31st next year. And that amount, that payment amount was for $1,833.86. And then we had a payment to Goner Lawn Care for mowing on Pickard in October and fall cleanup out there. And that was for that wasn't for fall cleanup. I'm sorry. That was just for the mowing on Pickard in October. That amount was $2,900. And then we have a payment issued to the Isabella County Treasurer. We had an MTT case, which is actually the Michigan Tax Tribunal. We gave Bob Evans a refund when that case was settled. The East EDA's share was $504.39. And then we have a check issued to MMI. This is for the ground maintenance around the park benches out on the Pickard Street corridor for October. That check was for $658. And we have a check issued to Block Electric to remove the Art Reach banners to get ready for the Christmas decorations in winter. That check was for $1,285. And we have a check issued to Braun Kendrick for some legal fees for the East DDA that were from a September billing. That check was for $713. And then we have a check issued to the Charter Township of Union for water and sewer water utility bill for, and that was for that property that the East DDA purchased on Pickard Street. That water bill was for $168.70. And then we have another check issued to Goner Lawn Care for $2,225. And this was for some mowing on Pickard in November and then fall cleanup that they did in November. So we have accounts payable totaling $15,137.75. Does anybody have any questions on any of those checks that were written?
Gary, what was the insurance bill for?
That's for property and liability insurance renewal.
Okay, do you know what property in specific, I guess?
I do not. If you need more specifics, we would have to look into it and get back to you on that.
Okay, that's fine. Not gonna hold up my approval.
Are there any other questions?
Is it any chance maybe, and maybe since you weren't able to answer that, 5800 East Pickard, that property that we bought? I'm assuming we'd have to put some kind of insurance on that in the meantime. That would make sense to me at least.
Yep, that would, because I don't recall ever seeing, the reason I ask is I'd never seen the DDAs getting a insurance bill specifically, but nope, that would make sense that we need property and liability insurance on that. So I'll take that as an answer.
Well, we'll still look it up and get back to you because the East DDA has always paid a portion of the property and liability bill for the year.
Okay.
Like, for example, when there was some damage to street lights, you know, out there, like when a car hit a street light, we turned that in and got reimbursement. I think our insurance company, you know, worked with the auto owner's insurance company to get reimbursement. So we do have coverage. It's just if you want specifics, I'd have to look, you know, get more information.
No, yeah, and I guess just final question would be is, so what you're saying, sounds like the rather than the township owning the streetlights, the East EDA owns the streetlights and the facilities out there.
Right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mhm.
If no more questions, can I get a motion to approve the payables?
Make the motion to approve the East EDA payables as presented.
Second.
A motion by Zalid, support by Melky, to approve the East EDA October payables. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Hearing no opposition, motion's carried. Payables are approved.
Okay, I'll move on to the payables for the West DDA. We did have one check issued to 21st Century Media, you know, the Morning Sun there. And that check was for $554.30 for the notices that went in the paper for the tax increment finance plan update. That expense was shared between the East and West. So we have that one check coming from the West DDA for the $554.30. And that's it for those.
I would make a motion that we pay the payables as presented from the West DDA.
Support Bacon.
I second it.
We have a motion by Fig, supported by Bacon.
It's okay.
Wow, Chowdhury came in second on that.
It's okay. Don't worry.
So have a motion by Fig, supported by Bacon. All in favor of approving the West
Aye.
payable, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. The West EDA payables are approved. Motion's carried. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move on to the October financial reports. Looking at the revenue and expenditure report for the East DDA. Your revenues are coming in right now at $526,080.60. You're looking at that being about 100% of budget. So we'll probably have a little bit more to add there, but not a whole lot. And then as you can tell with your expenditures, most of your recurring expenditures for maintenance and items out on Pickard are in for the year. So we have total expenditures right now of $622,601.19. The budget is at about 50%. We'll be making some corrections there by amending the budget so that percentage looks a little better. Does anybody have any questions on the revenues or expenditures as of October 31st? For the East DDA, that is. If not, I'll move on to the balance sheet for the East DDA. As you can see, there's the total assets are about 1.6 million. Most of that is in the form of cash. So looking at your fund balance, you're really close to about 1.6 million in cash that's available to spend in the East DDA. And that's as of October 31st. Are there any questions on any of the financials here for the East DDA?
The only question I guess I have is regarding like fund balances. I mean, we do have real property now, at least for some period of time. That's not reflected in the assets, is it? I'm not seeing it at least.
No, the way governmental fund accounting is accounted for when it comes to these types of funds, it's not recorded in the asset area. It's recorded as an expense and capital outlay when something's purchased. So you won't see, when you buy property, you won't see it as an asset.
Okay, thank you.
Not in these monthly financial reports.
Right.
So where you had cash going out and we bought something, how does it not, it may not show up as a fixed asset, but how it's got to show up something on an asset.
Right. If you look back to the report that I covered here, the revenue and expenditure report, and if you look down to the lower section of the page in the area where it says economic development, there's some capital outlay accounts there. And those are populated with your purchase here, the 197,705. And then Rodney did a little bit of work, got something started there for 168 as far as the land improvements that need to be done. And there is, with the land improvements, there's $50,000 budgeted there. And maybe Rodney can explain more, but I don't believe that's going to be done in 2021. It's part of that's moving to 2022, if I remember right.
That is correct. That 50,000 is for the demolition work. That process has started. We have, in fact, I'm meeting a contractor tomorrow who is going to be doing the asbestos abatement survey that needs to be done before we can hire a demolition contractor. So that meeting him out there tomorrow, he's going to be doing the in-person work for that asbestos survey. So we'll have some additional expense this year, but it is very unlikely we'll be able to get the building down. We'd like to, but it's very unlikely we're going to be able to get the building down before the end of the year. So it would roll over we have it scheduled to roll over to 2022.
You know, since that's a piece of property that ultimately we don't want to hang on to, with the exception of the back end of the easement in the back end of the lot for the pump station. I mean, it'd be nice to see it on the books in a clear way, because ultimately it's cash that's spoken for now, but ultimately will become cash that ultimately we want to spend on something. It is an asset that we have that we don't plan on retaining, right? It'd be nice to see that.
And when it's sold, it'll come back in your revenue area.
Right.
Yes, the cash will come in and it will be shown in your revenue area as, the sale of the asset or the sale of the property.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. Are there any other questions on those before I move on to the west? Okay, I'll move on to the west. If you think of anything, we can always jump back to the east if you come up with a question. Okay, so looking at the west DDA, and we'll look at the revenues first. You can see that right now the revenues are $346,052.48. Those are coming in at about 100% of budget. We do expect to have some more interest earned posted here, but for the most part, the revenues are all, are pretty much received for the year here. And then moving on to the expenditures, we do have about the total expenditures so far this year are $94,276.75. That's about 12% of budget. A reason for the 12% of budget is that some of the planned projects were not started or completed in 2021. And again, we're hoping to amend the budget to reduce the 2021 budget and increase the 2022 budget as those projects move into 2022. So does anybody have any questions on that revenue and expenditure report for the West DDA? Okay, so I'll move along to the balance sheet for the West DDA. And you can see here that we have total assets of about a little under 1.5 million. And most of that is in the form of cash. And so then you look at your fund balance and it's about the 1.5 million. And it's, so this is, this fund is good, healthy fund there. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. Okay, if not, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to present these financials tonight.
It was very helpful. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, thanks, Jerry.
Mhm.
So let's let the record show the financial statements were presented and received. Moving on to 7C of the agenda. You have your board member matrix. Have anything new there?
I think we have.
I
Go ahead.
don't, Tom. I mean, I continue to lift up that we still need to fill the seat. Now that the EDA and the Board of Trustees have done all their job, and both the West and the East EDAs have been renewed, it's done now. It's complete. We actually have the next 20 years that we can look forward to. That helps, knowing that we have a future. And I think as we get in later into our agenda, we talk about switching to in-person meetings, that may make things more complicated for some people. But I have talked to one individual that has expressed an interest. We'll see. But no bites yet. So I'm asking people here, if you got somebody in mind that you think would be a good servant on this board, have them think about it.
Okay,
I believe
appreciate
that
it.
the two people that are whose terms are up early in the new year, Dr. Chowdhury and David Coyne, have both applied for reappointment. So that process will move forward.
Thank you to both of you. I know Dave's not here today.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to item 7D. Annual water rate, REU notices.
These are in your packet for your information. This comes up every year. The Public Services Department recalculates and balances the REUs, which is a residential equivalency units. That's the multiplier that they use for billing based on usage. We actually benefited this year, 2021, from a significant reduction in the REUs from previous years, and that resulted from the fact that we didn't use much water in 2020. Both because of a late start to the year. The water wasn't turned on for, I think, about 6 or 7 weeks later than it usually would have been. But also it was kind of an early end to the year in 2020. So the actual amount of water used in 2020 was significantly down. And that like I said, that caused the REUs to be calculated last year way below what they had been. And so this is, although these numbers look like they're very large increases, and they are, they're really coming back to more of an average for previous years going back. We will be looking at higher water bills for 2022, but as I said, they'll be more like pre-COVID years.
Am I doing the math correct, Rodney? So 2021 was approximately 14,000, and we can expect approximately $31,000 in water fees for 22.
We can expect a big increase, yes. And it will all really ultimately depend
that's
on
double.
usage, but
That's more than double.
Yeah.
That's more than double increase.
But keep in mind
If we're
that
going to continue with irrigation and stuff like I understand, but we need to do something to conserve water. Obviously the irrigation is going to be torn out the year after next, but rain meters or somebody just to shut it off when it's rains for 10 days straight, because I don't know. Obviously I didn't see the numbers from 19 or 2000, or 2020, but that just seems a lot of money to irrigate it right away.
Yeah, I can certainly share with you the charges. I've got a graph. Just got it today, and so I didn't have a chance to send it out, but I can send it out to everyone. Like I said, the actual numbers for the actual amount used for 2021 is really about the same, if not lower than it was, and it's definitely lower than 2019. It's about the same as 2017 and 18. So like I said, this was essentially an average year for the township. We just simply benefited from the
How many
fact that our rates
gallons
were
is
low.
that? How many gallons is an average year then?
Well, this year I'm looking at the graph, and I'm looking at about 13,000 and some odd gallons. I'd have to go back and double check it, but basically just scaling from the graph, that's where it looks like it comes. And in 2020, we
Well,
were
that would
down,
make it'd be 130,000 gallons, not 13,000, correct? Because if it
Well,
was under 15,000 gallons, it'd be one RE.
I apologize. I know I'm not reading this. It's the amount. I tell you what, let's do, rather than me guessing, I will
Okay.
get you the graph. I'll get you the information.
Okay.
That way you'll have it. But like I said, this was definitely a more average year, whereas 2020 was not. The Public Services Department is working on a plan long-term to change how they calculate these water rates to eliminate the REUs if possible. That's a process, and they're moving through that process. But right now, this is what we have to work with.
How do our water rates compare to similar municipalities as far as the rates? Because I guess this piqued my interest, and then I started checking in. Like, I've been told, and I don't know if it's 100% true, but Union Township has the highest water hookup rates, not just in the state, but maybe even in the Midwest. So how do we compare? So we have high hookup fees. How do we compare with our water fees with other municipalities?
Well, I would disagree that we have the highest hookup fees in even in the state of Michigan. I've worked in other communities that have far higher hookup fees than Union Township does. So I know that we're not even the highest in the state, and I don't even think we're even near the highest in the state. Our rates are set based on our costs, and we don't make a profit on these things. We cover our costs. We cover the cost for future maintenance and upkeep to make sure the system will continue to function, but it is not a profit-making venture. Our system is based on our geography. Union Township is, as I sometimes tell people, we are the donut. Mount Pleasant is the hole in the donut. And as a result of that, we have a system that certainly is not as efficient as it would be if we had a square township of 36 sections and we were trying to provide water and sewer within a neat geography. Would go around in the way we're doing certainly has a higher cost to it. There are places where township lines and city lines parallel one another, where it's necessary. There are places where city lines run through the township and township lines run through the city, both for water and for sewer. So it is not the least expensive system on in the state, but it is an efficient system in terms of how it's operated and maintained. But anyway, with the costs involved, both the rates we're charged and also the hookup charges are all what is necessary to service the system.
Jeff, I'll just jump in that we did a water study. This would have been just a little over a year ago. Maybe it might even be a year and a half ago now, because we had the same questions about hookup fees and RUs versus other billing processes. And certainly what we found regarding hookup fees is that we were not on the high end by any means. But the perception was that at the time. I think there was a lot of perception that was true.
Where would the perception be coming from? I guess what piqued my curiosity is I've just been quoting a lot of new commercial buildings going in Clare, and I said, well, why are they leaving Union Township to go to Clare? And one of the first things was somebody said, well, the water hookup. And so the Peterbilt store that's leaving Union Township, I don't know if they investigated building in Union Township or not, but the hookup fee in Clare was $5,000 in their new industrial park, and in Union Township it was, and maybe like you guys said, maybe I've got terrible information, and that happens a lot to me sometimes, but it was in the $70,000 range. Does that seem reasonable? Or
I can say that the Peterbilt case had nothing to do with our utility costs.
Okay.
I don't want to get into the details of that, but their decision to move had nothing to do with utilities whatsoever.
Gotcha. But what would a commercial building hookup on average be? Would it be in the 10 to 20,000 or 30? I mean, obviously it depends on a lot, but is that $70,000 a realistic number?
That I can't tell you right offhand.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can certainly, if you're interested in this, I can ask Kim Smith to
No,
attend a meeting.
that's fine. That's
Because
fine.
that's
No,
really-
I was
she's-
just wondering. No, I don't want to put it any further past this. I was just
Okay.
questions. So,
Yep, the only thing I would add, and as a disclaimer, I do a lot of that work you're referring to. So one thing, if it's a $5,000 tap, it's if you're on that side of the road, you don't have to cross, there's no pavement. I know for the businesses that go out on Isabella Road that have built over the years, those, I don't think it's up 70,000. But it's a tens of thousands of dollars because basically you've got to direct the mains on one side. You've got to go out into Isabella Road, make a patch, you got to drill it, get it across the road. And so depending on, and not sure what everybody else does as far as the commercial hookups, but generally it's the cost of providing that main or that water over to the parcel. Whereas
Gotcha.
if you're an individual, they just have a flat rate regardless of the mains on your side or the other side. You just pay a flat rate. So what I've seen of the individual residential hookups, those are, I would dare say those don't cover the township's cost of providing those long service. They may make a little bit of money on the short ones, but they definitely
gotcha.
on the other ones. So that, if you want to talk about it, we can.
Oh no, I'm good.
Later. But I just 70,000 sounds like an awful lot based on I know what the costs that we have into it. So.
Gotcha. No, and like I said, I probably got bad information. I just noticed all that growth north of us, and I don't see a lot of it around us, and I want to see our area grow. So we can knock off the water. That's perfect. That's good. So.
Hey, going back to the original irrigation question, I'm agreeing with Jeff. Assuming we reinstall the East EDA's irrigation system after the M20 reconstruct by MDOT, it's a good idea to we could probably trick it out and put some automation onto that. But just a quick history on that system. I'm pretty tickled that it even runs because we went probably 6 years after spending the money to put it in. It basically started failing to the point we were only using a third of it. And I think it's just only recently that we were able to get that system back up in line. So if that makes you feel better, Jeff, it didn't work for 5 years. And so but I agree with the automation part. But anyway, moving on to agenda item 8, new business.
Tom, if I could piggyback on your comment, I just wanted to add that along with the idea that it's up and running, we're presented with a dilemma, which Jeff alluded to, regarding use of water and automation of shutoff and the high-tech concept of what an irrigation system can be and the cost to do it, because we're going to be faced with that choice in the near future. According to Rodney, the irrigation system deserves no respect, kind of like Dangerfield, I guess, gets no respect. But the thing's going to be torn out and we're going to be faced with a decision. And I really, it's a debatable issue, but I do think there's a lot of value in the corridor as it's been improved. And Tom, you hit the nail on the head. Without watering it, you can't have any turf. And we spent $3,500 for fertilizer and pre-emergence for the turf to look good. And I do think it's over the last few years, it's pretty solid presentation along with all the other additions that go along through that corridor. And we'll see that be upgraded, I believe. Rodney thinks 2 years from now, we're going to be redoing that road. And it sounds like maybe they have the funding, which somehow, is going to really make a difference down through there. So we're going to have to look at that irrigation system. And I do think that Tom raises a big, important issue. We're going to have to consider the value of it and putting in the new irrigation system, because it sounds like it's going to be difficult to save even a portion of what we have now, even though it's up and running and it's an older system, I'm sure, but this would be the chance to look forward and try to figure out what we can do ahead of time to prevent some expenses that down the road might have been saved if we don't do it ahead of time. And Jeff brings up another point of how do we want to go? Do we want to have this automatic shutoff that will not be sprinkling when it's raining out? And, the days beyond, it may not need water, or a certain area may not need as much water, depending on the zone that we have it set up on. And those are the things that Thielen or any other irrigation system companies might be able to get involved with us on. So just thinking ahead, Rodney, I would feel confident about looking forward in that area. And I know we've talked about it briefly already, but maybe that's an agenda item for next year, early sometime. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, those are good thoughts. I'm pretty sure Rodney's on it. I watched him beat up MDOT pretty good on it already, so he's not slowing down.
Thank you, Rodney.
That's a tough opponent to go up against, though, Rodney.
Yes, indeed.
A lot of leverage.
No, good thoughts, Marty.
Thanks, Tom.
Let's go on to that new business with item A. What do you have there, Rodney? That participation agreement or something?
So the item A is our annual authorization for participation in the Outreach Festival banners. So this is normally the December agenda item, but we were able to slip it in on our late November meeting here. The Festival banners, of course, we've been working with them for many years now. They are proposing no changes from previous years, same number of banners, the same cost to us to do that. And they are intending on having a very good year. Of course, they had some struggles with COVID, but they are intending to move forward with their program for 2022 and looking forward to working with us. I was hoping we would have the representative from George from the Outreach, but he's not with us at the moment. But as I said, this is an annual authorization. You do have funds budgeted for this purpose, and these are the banners that go up in the springtime on all of our streetlights, and they're up through the summer months. And they are banners that are created for us every year. And it certainly adds quite a bit of beauty to that corridor during the spring and summer months. So with that in mind, I'm happy to recommend approval of the East EDA district's participation in the Festival banners for 2022. And you'll see in our report of resolution at the end to cover that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the East DDA District's participation in the 2022 Outreach of Mid-Michigan Festival of Banners event via the purchase and creation of 78 banners for installation and display along East Pickard Road at a cost of $4,500.
Bacon will second.
I have a motion on the floor by Melky, supported by Bacon, to approve this request for EDA board action. Are there any more questions?
Let's say George joined us last year and I appreciated his presentation. And although he's missed this year, I still remember much of that from last year. And to me, this is a no-brainer. This is just part of the beautification of that corridor.
It's a great program, and we've been doing it for years.
Yep, well said. With that, all in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
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 All opposed, the same. Hearing no opposition, motion is approved, and the request for that EDA board action is approved. Thank you. And do you want to walk us through 8B, the budget amendment, please?
Yep, I'll help you with that. We're looking for board approval on the budget amendment number 4 for the East DDA Fund and the West DDA Fund. And the Board of Trustees had a meeting on November 23rd, and they approved this budget amendment contingent on the EDA board's approval. Just so you know, if you decide to make any changes to this or don't approve it as it's written, we'll go back to the Board of Trustees in December and ask for their approval on it. So no worries there. So I'll start out with the East DDA Fund. We're not amending any revenues. Everything's looking good there in the revenue area. In the expenditure area, we do have a few amendments proposed here. The first being professional and contractual services budget. We're going to reduce that 22,500, and that's just based on this mapping of the street lighting, electrical, and irrigation system for Mistig. That wasn't done because we learned of that major MDOT project on Pickard Street. So we're amending for that. And then we have a decreased budget, $5,000 for maintenance to the park benches out there and trash receptacles. And again, this, we felt that we shouldn't even bother with that this year because of that big MDOT project. We don't know how that's going to affect those benches and all the things that are out there, like those flower pots and whatnot. And then we have, we're decreasing the budget $15,000. And that's because we didn't have as many repairs to the irrigation and lighting as we did the prior year. And we kind of budgeted based on the prior year. So we're reducing the budget there $15,000 because it wasn't needed. And we're decreasing the budget $5,000 for the business communications project. That also didn't get done in 2021. And so we're expecting to do that in 2022. And the community improvement grant project, we're planning $40,000 for that in 2022. So we're reducing the 2021 budget by $40,000. And then, as you all know, we have a couple of large projects that we're delaying until 2022. And the one, so we're decreasing the 2021 budget for the pump station number 1 project. The East DDA had promised $160,260 to that project. So we're moving that to 2022. And then also there's the sanitary sewer project that you all have planned and approved for Somerton Road, $275,000 contribution to that. That's delayed to 2022. And then we also, we have a contribution for $10,000 to the Parks Master Plan. We're reducing the budget for that because it's delayed until 2022. So overall, between revenues and expenditure adjustments to the budget for 2021, we have a decrease of $529,115 in the East DDA fund. Before I move on to the West DDA, does anybody have any questions on those amendments for the East DDA? Okay, I'll move right on to the West DDA. In the revenue area, we're increasing the budget for property tax revenue, $4,000. We received a little more tax capture revenue than we expected. And then in the expenditure area, we're decreasing the budget $40,000 again for that community improvement grant project that will be hopefully be done in 2022. And then I know that we've talked about this in the past. We had budgeted $330,000 for the Lincoln Road project. And that also, we're waiting on the road commission for that. That contribution is delayed until 2022. And then we're decreasing the budget $307,000 that we had in the 2021 budget for sidewalk projects. Those projects are also expected to be done in 2022 at this point. So overall, we have a total net expenditures from all of these adjustments to the budget is a decrease of $674,855 in the West DDA fund. So the resulting net impact of the budget amendment is to increase the projected year-end fund balance by $678,855 compared to the existing original budget. Are there any questions on this budget amendment for either of the funds?
I make a motion that authorization is hereby given to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget for the East and West DDA funds in the respective amounts of $530,115 in the 248 East DDA fund and $678,855 in the 250 West DDA fund.
Well, Bacon will support.
Got a motion by Fig, support by Bacon to approve that motion. Is there any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor of that request for Economic Development Authority board action, say aye.
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 All opposed, the same. And the motion is approved.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And looking at item 8C on the agenda. What are we thinking? This canceling 12/21 regular meeting?
This was something I just wanted to bring to you at your option. It happens that we don't have any action items for the December meeting beyond the usual paying the bills. The festival of banners, as I said, that the outreach authorization is usually on the December agenda. So this meeting takes place the week of Christmas. I haven't asked anybody about availability or quorum. So I just wanted to kind of bring this to your attention. If you if you take no action, we'll just simply hold the meeting as normal. We certainly can, as I noted in the memo that I put in the packet, we do have the opportunity to start the conversation about the long-term preferences on the irrigation system. We also can start a conversation about priorities for developing local business grant programs. We do have some budget money for that in the 22 budget. And so those are both discussion items that we can have on the December agenda and kind of make it more of a work session on those two topics if you'd like to. If there's a preference, as I said, you do have the option to cancel the meeting. If that does take place, the bills would be handled in the same way that we would handle them if we didn't have a quorum. So that would be addressed through the process we already have in place for that. So it is something, it's up to you. As noted on that memo, if you don't do anything, we would just simply hold the meeting and we would plan on having those discussion topics on there. If you prefer, you could by motion take an action to cancel the meeting.
I think it will be a good idea to cancel it because a lot of people will be traveling. Particularly, I will be traveling. I won't be here. I don't know about other people. And if there is not much to discuss, I think that can be postponed till that irrigation and all that can be postponed to January. Still, I mean, we have a time for that to discuss and apply.
Jackie?
That sounds reasonable, especially since we're having the meeting for November on the 30th. So it's December tomorrow. So we're doing a lot of business at this point. Sounds like a reasonable idea.
I'm okay with it. It's Tom. That's a question for Rodney, though. I mean, we can do this and not get per the Public Act and rules, and I thought we had to have 12 meetings.
You are not. You certainly can cancel a meeting if you have. We noted it as a lack of agenda items. You can cancel it because you don't feel you're going to have a quorum. You can certainly cancel a meeting by motion if you need to. What we would do is the same thing we would do. Well, frankly, it was the same thing we did for the November 16th meeting, as we posted a notice on the website and at the hall, and made everybody aware that a change had been made, that the 16th had been rescheduled. So in this case, it would be a notice that the meeting had been canceled. But yes, you absolutely have the ability to choose to cancel a meeting for whatever reason you feel is a valid one to do that.
Okay. I'm indifferent. It's up to you guys. What do you think? Sound like you want to cancel?
Will be good idea. I don't know.
No preference either way.
I'm indifferent as well.
I guess the question would be is, do we have a quorum among the members that are here? Do we have, Dr. Chowdhury already mentioned he won't be able to be here in December. Are there others that would not be able to be there on the 21st?
It is possible I will be gone that day. I haven't finalized my plans, but it's possible.
With that in mind, maybe certainly another valid reason to cancel the meeting would be a recognition that you're not going to have a quorum present. And that's a very valid reason to go ahead and cancel it ahead of time, just as we rescheduled the November one because of that reason.
I will be available, but if there's no actionable items, I'm good with passing too.
I don't expect to, except for an emergency, to be gone. I should be here. for a meeting. If we had one on the 21st, I expect to be here. But I kind of see the point of we don't have actionable items like Bob said, and I would be in favor of waiting till January. That'd free up everybody who might be on the fence of whether they want to be here or not too. Or free up everybody that close to Christmas. But I'd be happy to be here if we want to have a meeting too.
Sounds like that was a polite motion to cancel. What do you think?
I
Yeah,
make that motion that we postpone our business for December until January, and or lack of a certainty of a quorum.
So I second it.
Okay, a motion by Fig, support by Chowdhury to cancel the regular meeting December 21st, 2021, because lack of action items for this agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, the same. And motion is approved. So then you'll send notices out, right, Rodney?
Yes, we'll take care of that. We'll send notices to all the members, and as I said, we'll post the notices at the hall and on the website as well.
Okay. Looking at agenda item number 10, director comments. Have anything there?
So the last item in your packet is just a memo about our anticipated return to in-person meetings. It was mentioned earlier. Our authority to hold these electronic meetings ends with the end of the calendar year. We have authority under the amended Open Meetings Act to do this through December 31st. And we also have the other part of that authorization is a county Board of Commissioners emergency declaration that also expires at the end of this calendar year. Those two things are necessary for us to be able to do this. So with that in mind, we would be looking at this point, anticipating to return to in-person meetings in our Township Hall boardroom beginning in January. Here, which staff were looking at that topic and looking at how to set the boardroom up for our larger board. The EDA board, of course, is the largest board we have in terms of membership. Our board of trustees has been meeting since late July in person, but this would be the first time that we would be returning to EDA board meetings in person in almost 2 years. There is a possibility, a very, very slight possibility that the state may extend their electronic meeting authorization. There are several bills floating around the state legislature. Most have gone nowhere. Each one kind of is a different proposal, some to extend it permanently or allow electronic meetings permanently. There is one that I think has at least half a chance of going somewhere. That was one to give an extra 90 days to the end of March for electronic meetings. But so far, the legislature has not really taken any of them up to any great degree. And there doesn't seem to be, from what I've heard, any great interest in taking them up, despite the current COVID wave that we're experiencing. So with that in mind, I just want to make sure you're aware that in all likelihood, we're going to be needing to hold our January meeting in person. What I would suggest is if you individually have any concern about that, from a health perspective or any perspective, if you would just email me individually. That's not something we need to talk about in a public meeting. But if you have a particular concern and would like to talk about it, send me an email or give me a call, and we can chat about it and see if there's a way that that concern can be addressed. So that just, this is just for your information.
Okay. Yeah, good point. I forgot that was coming up. So, anything else for the good of the order?
I'll just, if I can jump in, Tom, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did attend the county commission meeting this last month where they had before them the agreement that the EDA passed as far as sharing TIFA money with the county on a 75-25, and also the plan not to capture taxes from the expansion on the East DDA. And I just want to say that the comments that I heard both from the manager, the acting, well, I guess Margaret McAvoy, who just retired, and the new manager and the commissioners, they really felt that what the EDA put forward was a good faith community building. I mean, they gave it praise. There was no pushback from the county at all. They just felt like we were doing what was best for the community and being a good community player. And I just want to relay that.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Good to hear.
Good to hear.
Thanks, Tom.
Anybody else? Hearing nothing, I guess we'll see you third Tuesday in January in the hall.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever is appropriate.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yep, likewise. Let's call the meeting adjourned, 5:38. Thank you.
You, Tom.
Thank you. Bye.